Hey guys, I've just been looking through the hair pieces that I've got, the lace ones that I've already cut out, and I haven't got anything that has properly bleached knots. I've re-bleached the knots on all these hair pieces, but all of them have failed. The knots persist in being completely unbleached, and these are from Lord Hair, which is a massive disappointment. I've bought a lot of hair from Lord Hair. You see how the bleaching is successful back there, but there's no quality control. It's just they've skimmed over all these other hair pieces, and this entire box, a year's supply. I've tried to re-bleach them myself, but I was unsuccessful. And if I left the bleach on any longer, I'm worried that it would have dyed the hairs. So I'm going to have to try to send them back and ask them to be re-bleached. In the meantime, this will be my second attempt at poly. So this is an uncut 0.03mm ultra thin skin from Lord Hair. And if we look at the comparison of what it was like with those unbleached knots compared to what it looks like with V-loops for poly, it's not very good lighting, but you can see that it looks better with poly than unbleached knots. Though I did find a big problem with the poly V-loops last time because it looks so, you see the straight lines that happen? That's not how real hair looks, is it? Real hair comes out of the scalp like that. So clearly, poly of the V-loops has not achieved reality. The other thing about these ones from Lord Hair is see this? Once you put that on your head, that separates, creating double the size of that lip there, and this one here, they're all over the place. They've folded it up to try to make a dome shape. So you stretch it when you put it on your head, and then these things rip apart, and then it destroys it. So you've got the unbleached knots, and you've got these folds in French lace, making it really unusable. Now I've still got a remnant of an old piece of Swiss lace here. You can feel the lightness. They're all medium density. This is medium light density. This is medium light density too, apparently, the poly, but it looks a lot thicker. But this, you see, you'd still appear to be kind of balding with Swiss lace at medium light density. It really looks a lot like light density actually, but it is medium light density, apparently. These knots are quite well bleached, but if you can see the scalp, you can see the glue, unfortunately, and that will shine all the way through that. Basically, that's what your hairpiece is going to look like to everybody who sees your head. Unfortunately. So, I'm going to try poly again. But this time, I'm going to make sure the V-loops are from nose to spine instead of ear to ear, so that the V-loops follow the contours of my head from front to back. The biggest challenge with poly is making it cut exactly right. So I had this problem of the stencil size that I'd cut for this hair piece that I'm wearing now, where there was a gap back here, and because it was already forward like this, so I lined up on my front hairline, it missed that spot at the back up there, see? So now, with my notes, preferably two hands, because I'm going to stick this phone camera to that blue tack there. And with the aid of my new whiteboard that I've just purchased and assembled, and maybe some on-screen displays, I'm going to make you a full video on how to measure your scalp bald spot, shave it, use the stencil properly to cut out a piece on the poly, pre-glue the poly, and stick the new hairpiece to your head. Okay, so this will be from the very beginning to the very end. So this is completely for beginners, and hopefully I'll get it all perfect and it'll be a good resource for anybody who wants to apply a hairpiece. Okay, so I've written 13 steps. Unlucky. You're unlucky to be bald, I guess. So these 13 steps that I've written all have explanations, and includes, in step 2, the stuff you've got to get. Everything you'll need to do a hairpiece. This doesn't include things like lace release and nose sweat and stuff like that, because I'm applying all my lesson to using the 0.03mm ultra thin skin poly units available at Lord Hair, and I'll even provide all the prices that I've got here. Okay, so step 1, if you're just balding right now, we'll start you at 0, right? Okay, if you're just balding, step 1 is guess your hair color and waviness level. If you don't, you'll have to get the color matched by cutting off a sample of your hair, mailing it to a hair company, corresponding with them via email. It's also possible to get a sample of hair sent to you, but please note that your hair color is probably different on different parts of your head and changes color in summer, unless you've got really black hair, I think. Also, picking an incorrect color is not the end of the world, because you can have a wet look styling product until you order a better color system next time. Or you can send it back for a replacement. Most companies, if you haven't cut it yet, will probably exchange it. It's going to cost them in shipping though, so maybe send them a few bucks for the postage and get it right next time. You can easily guess your waviness without samples. Like my hair's probably fairly curly, but I don't want curly hair anymore. I'm using this baldness to give me the hair I've always wanted, which is straight, stylable hair. So usually these hair pieces come with a slight wave, and that's fine for most Caucasians, I think. If you want afro, I haven't seen that for sale on Lord Hair, but you could probably have a custom order. I don't know if you can get a stock piece, which means it's ready off the shelf. You can easily guess your waviness without samples, and off-the-shelf stock hair pieces, as opposed to custom-made hair pieces, generally don't give you waviness options anyway. So this is off the shelf, right? I ordered a 3-pack, and I'll get into what you need now. So that was step 1, guess your hair color and waviness level. Step 2 is get all of this stuff. 3 times, or a 3-pack, of 0.03mm ultra thin skin poly medium light density hair pieces for $400, and I'll provide the link for that. Poly eliminates the 3 problems with lace: glue coming through the holes, unbleached knots, and cleanup. But it requires accuracy with cutting and placement. It cannot be reused, and it does not allow the scalp to breathe. Now, I don't know how much of a problem that is long term, because I haven't used it for a long period of time. I find the pros outweigh the cons, especially if you're a beginner, because we're going to pre-glue this, and it'll be very easy to apply and remove and discard without any cleanup or anything like that at all. If it's your first time at Lord Hair and you're logged in, you are logged in, and it says your name at the top because you're logged in. You know, you've got to register and then log in. That's how websites work. With your new account, and it has to be your first time, you can use the coupon code StickOnHair for 20% off. Okay, so if it's $400, divide that by 5, which is $80, times 4 is $320. So you can get 3 hair pieces for $320. But if you buy 6, you'll get even bigger discounts, because you can get 3 packs or 6 packs. I don't know if they even sell them in 1 packs because it's considered discardable. Because the thing is, poly stretches, and if you remove it off your head, it'll stretch, and once it's stretched, it will be less realistic looking, and you probably don't want to reuse it. If you do want to save money, you probably want to go with French lace, which lasts for a long time if you can be bothered cleaning it and doing that stuff. The second thing you want to get is, well, just get 3 bottles. It lasts about a month each. A Walker Tape Ultra Hold adhesive. This is the glue I've always been using because I know it holds, and you can just get in a shower or go swimming with it, whether it's lace or poly, straight away. There's no 24-hour waiting period or anything like that. It'll just go straight on your head. It is a very shiny glue, and this is a major problem with lace. The glue will shine through the lace. So with poly, that can't be a problem. This sits around the very front perimeter where the glue might be showing a tiny bit on the front line, and I'll have to try to address that problem when I get to it using the poly. Third thing is you'll need solvent remover. So I'll provide a link to the eBay in Australia link to buy that. The eBay link to buy this in Australia. And all the prices I'm going to give you today are going to be in American dollars, just to keep it universal. So you can get 3 of these for 65 American dollars. It was 90 Australian dollars to give you an idea. To get 3 of them delivered to you. So all my quoting includes delivery. Okay. And I say get 3 just so you have some supply, some kind of supply, so you're not going to be running out of stock or anything. Get 3 of these. This is solvent remover. Lasts for ages, but just get 3 of everything for the starting off, so you know that you're ready to go. And if one bottle drops out or the lid falls off or something, you just keep going with it. I don't always use this stuff, but you see I've still got the residue from the last hairpiece, and if I was trying to get the glue off the hairpiece itself, I wouldn't even bother. I've never tried to. You'll never have to either if you stick with the poly method, because you'll be throwing out every hairpiece you use, okay? So let's leave the maintenance and cleaning stuff for the people who use the lace. And I recommend you kind of just go with what I say here, because it'll be easier to just get started. This is just from Walker Tape as well. This is the same company that makes this stuff. So that's the glue and that's the remover. But that stuff is sticky and oily and stuff. So then you got to wash everything with baby wipes or shampoo, or have a shower or something, okay? Because that stuff isn't going to be wiped off easily. You'll need to use soap and water and hot water and baby wipes and stuff, okay, to get that off. So 3 of those, $65. 3 of those, $65 as well. Next thing you want, so it says here, I've written, adhesive remover is used with baby wipes, hot water, and a comb to remove glue from your head in between hair pieces. So the first thing I'll be doing with you today is cleaning my scalp. Okay, and I'll be shaving it as well. Unfortunately, I can't go back to 0. My hair naturally started there and was longer. But you can imagine I've done that. I'll watch some of my old videos where I've done that. Maybe I'll even include a bit of a snippet here if I can be bothered. You don't want to go back too far. Don't fuck it up. Point of no return. That process of daring to shave it for the first time. You want alcohol spray. You might as well get 3 of these. Alcohol spray. This is the same stuff you use to clean television sets and keyboards and stuff. Okay, so I'll provide a link for where to get this stuff. But 3 of these will cost you about $20. American. Alcohol spray is used to make glue slippery for 30 seconds while you slide the hairpiece into position. It can also be used for touch-ups. So it basically stops the glue from being sticky for a few seconds, 30 seconds or so, and then you can move things or readjust things while that's still wet for 30 seconds until it evaporates. Obviously, alcohol is going to evaporate a lot faster than water on Earth's atmosphere. Okay, so that's the first 1, 2, 3, 4 items. Okay, they're the most expensive things on the list, except for a beard trimmer. Mine fell on the floor and snapped. So if I still had hair that I had to take off, I'd be using one of these things, because that's just to get the main hairs off, because it's hard to shave long hairs off with this. You could, which means you can save $75 off this list by not buying one of those beard trimmers. But I've included it because it'll make your life easier. You won't need it again for there in the future, but for touching up sideburns and stuff and removing wiry sideburn wisps and stuff, if you don't want to go to a hairdresser and you want to do your hair all yourself. Because you will have to be cutting your own hair pieces unless you want to go to the hairdresser every couple of weeks, next time or 2 or 3 weeks, every time you change your hairpiece. So you're better off learning how to cut your own hair. At the back and stuff, you might be better off going to a hairdresser, but I found that you can't trust a hairdresser because they won't keep this overhang here, this flow of the real hairs over the top. Don't worry, I'm not going to just explain to you a small hairpiece like I use, because that's the size of hairpiece that I have to cut for my head. I feel a bit naked not wearing this at the moment, so I'm going to put it back on for a while. Okay. Now I wouldn't go in public like that right now, unless somebody said, it's an emergency, your mum's in the hospital, then I'd run out the door like this, maybe put a hat on as well. But the thing is, with a hat, the sweat and the pushing of the hair down into the glue that's exposed in lace, it's a problem. With poly, it can't be a problem, can it? Because there's no way for the glue to come through there into the hairs and make them all squished up. So that's another problem you're not going to have to face when you use poly instead of lace. The plastic needs to be well hidden and absolutely accurate right the way around. So I'm a little bit nervous about poly, and I've shown a video about that at an early time on my first attempt. This will be my second attempt today. Okay, so we've got the $400 for the hairpiece, 3 hairpieces, $65 for 3 Walker Tape Ultra Hold glues, $65 again for 3 solvent adhesive removers, and $20 for 3 of these alcohol sprays. Now, I say get a permanent marker for tracing the stencil, a clear plastic hair holder for tracing, and that will come, by the way, this is the box after I've unwrapped all the pretty Lord Hair logos and everything off the top. So inside here, it came with 3 hair pieces. I've already taken, oh, that's still a piece. Oh, I've already cut that out. Okay. Oh, but I cut it sideways. See, this one can be discarded now, because when I cut this one out, I want to show you against my forehead. I don't know if you can actually tell here, but the V-lips are running side to side. They're running from ear to ear. Do you see what I mean? They need to run from nose. They need to run from nose to spine, so that the front hairline doesn't have V's going this way all the way along like that. They'll be going like that instead. If you don't understand that, then go back to primary school, because I just explained it very clearly. This is a hairpiece, also 0.03mm ultra thin skin poly hairpiece, as it came in the box. So 3 of these were stacked on each other. This one is still a brand new one, but I've taken that stuff off. And this one was from my first attempt when I cut 3 out, because I can fit 3 stencils onto one hairpiece, like I have in the past. I can with lace anyway. I don't think I will be able to with poly. So this is my existing stencil from the old days, right? I've been using it, I used it last week when I got hair and I was cutting it out. And so what I would do is I'd just go like that, and then like that, and then like that, and then I'd have 3, see? Your hairpiece might be all the way back to the crown if you want a full cap, like that. I think that's what a full cap is. Unless a full cap is including sideburns and everything. I might be misinformed there, but I'm going to call that a full cap from here on in, okay? Until I'm re-advised. So that would be a lot longer than this. In fact, that would take up the bulk of this shape here. You'd cut out an entire hairpiece all the way around there, right? So you'll only be able to get 1. Just to show you what it looks like to have an entire uncut hairpiece on your head without any cutting or preparation whatsoever. I'll just place this down. I'll just assume that bit's the front. I'll just place this on my head now. Alright, no brushing, nothing. It's just like, she loves you, yeah, 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 right? So you've got to really prepare it, otherwise you're going to look like one of the Beatles. Put this back on because I feel like fucking bald. Alright. Yeah. I mean very bald, not fucking bald. Stop swearing! Alright, here we go. This is a hairnet, just to keep it nice and neat for packaging purposes. Okay. It's what people who work in burger joints wear in American movies, probably in real American diners as well, because those places aren't just for theatre, they're real. Go to New York or something. Probably most cities. America's culture is not just made for movies, they really do live that way. And most of you are from America, so you already know that. Okay. So this thing here, so like Seinfeld and his lifestyle, it's a real type of person. Okay, this is a hairpiece that's still attached to the hair holder, the clear hair holder. Okay, so now this poly hairpiece is exactly in the same state as the other one, sitting freely. And what I'm going to do today, whoa, doesn't exactly fit. Maybe I don't need to wear a hairpiece afterwards. After all, I'll just wear this. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to use this to trace my bald patch out. And because my hairline is going to come, I'm thinking, you see those lines in my forehead? 1, 2, 3, and then there's the top one. So I'd say the hairline starts there. So whatever that spacing is, I'll do that spacing again and I'll start the hairpiece from there, okay? So I'll measure, I'll put a black marker, maybe there on my forehead, and then there on the plastic. I'll cut the sides out here so I have more leniency. And then I'll trace around there later on when I get to the stencil part. At the moment I'm jumping all over the place, so I'll just recap. Sorry if I'm naked. Okay, so permanent marker for tracing the stencil, clear plastic hair holder for tracing. That's what all that was all about. But now I can see this is not the shape of everybody's skull. You're gonna have to just cut a bit there and cut a bit there so it just can stick down in your head better. Might wear that for a while now, like it. A clear lead for a stencil in case. So that was made out of a lead, as you can see, the manufacturing mark. That's probably from a Chinese takeaway container or a takeout container. I don't know how else to say that. Chinese takeaway food, they come in these things with lids on them. You take it off, then you eat it. That's the lid. That's what I've been using as a stencil. flexible enough to seat itself inside there, and then using the marker you can trace it around. Not in midair. You're just sticking on a window, that's why I'm showing you this in midair. Otherwise I'd put it on the floor and I'll tell you, you need to use your feet, one of your feet, your toes, to hold the lace or the poly, the base, taut so that you can cut with scissors. We'll get to that. Okay, so clear lid for stencil, but if this thing turns out to be strong enough to trace with without curling or anything stupid, then this could be the stencil and you don't need to transfer the tracer from here to there. You can just use this, whatever you cut out of this, to be the stencil. Okay, so scissors for cutting the hairpiece and hair, because you'll be cutting your own hair. So this is how you'll cut the hairpiece out of, this is how you'll cut your personalized hairpiece shape out of the original default stock hairpiece. So scissors for cutting hairpiece and hair, electric beard trimmer for baby hairs. Basically I'm talking about people who have not started before. If you've already been doing this for a while, it will never get long enough that you'll need this again, but I still recommend it so you can do sideburns and just beard trimming. Okay, so that's $75. I'm including that in my quote, by the way, so if you've already got some of these things, you don't need to pay for them. Right, so basically, permanent marker, $5. Clear plastic holder for tracing, $0. Clear lid for stencil, $2.50. Whatever mill you purchased, or some other lid that you've got, Tupperware or something. Scissors for cutting hairpiece and hair, I've said $5. I'm being quite not conservative. I'm overstating the prices so that you know that I haven't cut any corners here. So $5 for a pair of scissors. Electric beard trimmer, $75. I'm sure you can get it for 20, or if you're already pay a $0, don't buy the $20 ones. Okay, don't want the razor to slip out and start cutting your face off, right? Safety razor for baby hairs. Is that called a safety razor? I think it is. On the box it says that, I think. Safety razor, right? That's what you'll be using every couple of weeks when you change your hairpiece from now on, or after you start. Fine tooth combs for cleanup. Don't leave these lying around, okay? Because they're going to be filled with little hairs and glue and look disgusting when people come over to your house. So just keep that all packed away, okay? I mean, you might need to use it for makeup on maintenance on a daily basis, but just have it hidden away in the bathroom where other people are going to be looking for the condoms and then come across your stupid, disgusting comb. Because your comb's going to be dirty and it's basically used for cleanup, for getting glue out of your hair. Like I'll be using it in a sec and you'll see when I'm trying to scratch it out, maybe. It's just the perfect tool for most things. Tweezers are no match for this, okay? In all the applications we'll ever use. Okay, so that's, okay, safety razor for baby hairs, I've said $5. You know, one razor isn't going to be $5. I think I've used the same razor for months, because I only use it every so often for that. So that probably is part of a packet that cost me $4 with 4 razors, probably cost me $1 over a series of months or something. Anyway, I've said the price is $5 for that one thing. Get a pack of them. Fine tooth comb for cleanup, $2.50. Hairbrush for preparing hairpiece and brushing your hair. So when the hairpiece is made, you want to brush it into position so that you can get the gaps nice and ready so you can see what you're doing and all the hair's flowing in the direction you want it to go when you put it on, so there are no hairs in your way. See, my hairpiece that I apply, and I'll explain this a bit later on as well, it's clear on the back where it needs to go for me. That needs to line up with that part there, which is completely visible to everybody, right? So I need to make sure that's all lined up, and then I simply trust in the second gluing line, when I glue down a second time on the forehead, that extra bit down the front gets glued down second. But because this is too small, this hairpiece for me, because of the stencil cutting job I did, this is about right. way I made this. You can't just use something like that on your head though, of course, because there's no curvature to it. That's why I recommend using this thing. The other thing you can use is cling wrap and tape. And what you would do in that case is wrap your scalp in this stuff, right? And then use sticky tape to glue it into position. And then once it's solidly down, then you simply trace around where you want your hairline to be or whatever. Then you're left with something like that. And then you put a Chinese container over it, top of it, and then you trace it out, and then you cut out that. That's how a lot of people do that. In my case, I just found some kind of piece of string, or I might have just done that with my fingers, gone like that, and then made two lines with the marker on a piece of plastic, and then go like that, and then done that, and so I had a rectangle of hair, and then I cut it out and went, oh, okay, we need more edges here. And I think that's how I initially did it, because I didn't have all the tools, and I was living in a van at the time. I didn't have electricity or running water or anything. So it was all much more difficult for me. And anytime I did have access to a mirror, I was in a gym. So there was no privacy. I was doing my hair like this in a public place, and everyone was staring at me. It was fucking embarrassing. So better not to be homeless if you're gonna have to do this, okay? Homeless people should probably just shave their heads. But if you're rich enough to afford having hair, you should definitely do it. Okay, so hairbrush for brushing, hairpiece, $5. Wire hairband for holding back hairs. So you see what's happened here? All these natural hairs have fallen into the glue. That is a disaster if you're trying to put a new hairpiece on it. And I'm going to have to clean my entire scalp now, right? I was going to anyway, but even so. If I'd cleaned all my scalp and brushed it all back, then I'd use this hairband to keep that all back. If you've got a hairpiece that goes all the way around the back there, I don't know if this will be any good to you. You could probably just keep your hair damp and just brush out of the way, and just so it nothing flows back into the places where your scalp is, and it needs to be just free of any flyaway hairs that will come into where the glue is, okay? Because if you've got glue there, and then hair, real hair, and then you try to put your hairpiece on top, obviously it's not going to be a very good hold. So keep your real hairs out of that glue. One hair is probably fine. 4 hairs, too many. Okay, so wire hairband for holding back hairs, $5. Okay. Cotton tips for accuracy gluing. Well, that's what a packet of razors looks like. Does it say safety razors on it? It says it contains 8 disposables. Gillette Sensor 3, better rinsing and smooth shave. Gee, you wouldn't even know what it is that you're buying, would you? It just says what it's better at. In fact, I can't see anywhere on this packet where it says what this product actually is. It's assumed you know, that's all. Contains 8 disposables. That is not informative. Get these kind of ones, different types of ones. You know. That's not very good though. I found that one to be annoying when I wanted to be very accurate. I was better off using one like that, where it only moves in one direction. It doesn't have so much of a flip back on it. And this ball here, it does nothing, but it looks good. But you see all that gigantic border around the edges? It makes it very difficult when you're putting your fingers here and you're just trying to get the edges exact. What was I looking for? Cotton buds. Cotton tips. cotton buds, cotton tips, Q-tips. Nobody knows what they're called. This is a slimy, messy box, but it came with 200 tips. So basically, Walker Ultra holds. This has only been opened once, so it'll be the right consistency of a brand new packaging. You'll see how much it runs. It's flowy and runny and smooth. See, my hand's got just the right amount of shake in it to show you exactly what that looks like when it's new and shiny and fresh. So that paints on nicely. Once it's been open and it's touched the atmosphere for a long period of time, over opening it and closing it, opening it and closing it, or leaving the lid off. If you leave the lid off, throw the whole thing away. Too late. Don't leave the lid off. But that brush that comes with it, it's a very big brush. And so when you want to do fine edges and things, pull this back and you want to blip back there a little bit or whatever, you need to dip this cotton tip into there to get it right. Fortunately, the method I'll be showing you is pre-gluing, so you won't need to worry about all that bullshit if you pre-glue all this stuff. But you probably have to do touch-ups, but I haven't experienced the maintenance really, having only experienced wearing a poly piece for a short period of time. My poly pieces will be approximately this size, but I'm going to go through with you cutting out the stencil from scratch just to make sure that I've got exactly the right size I need. Okay. So cotton tips at 200, you can probably get smaller packs, but they last about 5-6 years, I think. So that's $5. Hot running water for cleaning. If you're homeless and you live in a van like I did for many years, I would have paid $1,000 for that. But I'm going to say that's free because you probably live in a house with hot running water and a bathroom mirror. But your bathroom mirror probably doesn't have a nice big fat LED on it, and I'm not going to include that in the price, but you need to get one, okay? Get a big light from eBay or something like that, and then wire it into the wall. So you can actually see your own reflection. Much better. Okay. So, hot running water for cleaning. Towel for drying. Haven't included a price, I've just said $0. I assume you own one. Okay. Baby wipes for cleaning, $5. You get a 3-pack of these things for $10 usually. Baby wipes, you know, they've got wet and they don't rip. Toilet paper would rip. These are harder to rip. Like, getting them wet doesn't matter. See, it doesn't break apart from just doing that, okay? So baby wipes for cleaning. Front mirror with good lighting. Handheld mirror to see top and back. I don't have one, but I don't need to see the top and back. But if I did, I'd probably start building something that goes up and over and tilts and I can see all the 45-degree angles and everything else. I've got this mirror here that's kind of just sitting on its side on a table. It's on the bath, which was going to be part of my new setup, so I'd have it all perfect. I didn't end up making it yet. I was going to get a 2-way mirror so I could just talk straight through the mirror at myself, and then the camera would catch me in 4K. I'm still stuck with the iPhone 6, unfortunately. Okay, so this is handheld mirror, $15, I've said, so you can see the back of your head. Of course, this will leave you with only one hand to apply glue, and I'd say if you're right-handed, you probably want to put that mirror in this hand and then paint your head. It doesn't feel that hard, actually. No, so one hand is fine. You hold the mirror there, 45 degrees or whatever, so you can see the top of your head, and then you just paint the glue, dip some more, try not to spill out. Now you've got to put the mirror down, hold the container so this thing doesn't spill over and glue falls all over the place, dip that again, Then take it out with the other hand, and then okay, now it's dripping, it's dripping, it's dripping, it's dripping, it's dripping. Okay, now you're holding the mirror. Oh, now there's some more dripping going on. You can't, you have the spare hand, you got to drop the mirror now if the mirror's broken. No, you're going to have to set up a proper 45-degree thing. By the way, this isn't the only type of glue, and if you're using poly, it might not be necessary, but you can just put it on and go straight in the shower and go for a swim with it. Other glues, I've heard people need to wait 24 hours before they can even go for a swim or have a shower. Ridiculous. This is acrylic glue. This cheaper shit is water-based glue, okay? Acrylic glue might give you cancer, might not. Water-based glue, probably just what children eat and stick up their nose in primary school. Elementary school, okay? Handheld mirror to see the top and back, no, get a proper setup. Add $1,000 for that setup and the carpenter and everything. Shampoo, I've assumed you've got that, $0. Conditioner, $0. Styling product, say $20. I've added that into costing for you. You can use something like muck if you add water and use it sparsely, but I found lately it's kind of causing hairs to clag. I've been overusing it potentially. Use leave-in conditioner just as a slight kind of wet styling product, which doesn't really have any hold to it. If you really want to have a really strong, firm hold, you get hairspray. There's another type of hairspray which I like to go big, sexy hair, right? And obviously mousse and shit like that. And here's a product that was recommended when I was first buying hair products, hair systems, designed for people with hair pieces. Give a fuck. Doesn't make any difference. Use whatever you want. Okay, so the total for all this stuff is US $700 to get started. So if you want to get a full head of hair and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to do this now, I'm going to do this now, $700. Okay, so that big purchase was $400 for the 3 poly hair pieces, and they're not reusable. You can get French lace, which is durable, and you can clean it if you like the maintenance and being careful and shit. So maybe you want to go with French lace. That's what I'm wearing now, by the way. But I throw these out anyway. And I'm probably more lax about the whole operation because I get 3 hair pieces for every hair piece. I get 3 cuts for every full hair piece that I buy. But I won't anymore because poly needs those V-lips running from nose to spine. If they go from side to side or diagonal, I don't even know about diagonal. Diagonal is something that I'm thinking about doing. If I could get them to go diagonal, then they wouldn't have that V like that, but it would have a sort of a motion like that. And I don't know if that would look dodgy as well. So I'm going to go front to back because I actually do need to wear a hairpiece by tomorrow. And I don't want to waste hairpieces because these, it takes about 3 days to deliver from Lord Hair if I buy some. But last time I bought it was on a Chinese holiday or something. Don't order during Chinese holidays. They don't serve you for a couple of weeks. They won't even get back to you. It's not true. It's about an extra week's wait if there's a Chinese holiday, okay? Usually it's 3 days from the time I order online to the day that it arrives, ding dong, at my front door. And if you have a big letterbox and that will fit in it, then you don't have to be home. You just pick it up when you get home. But nobody has a letterbox that big because people aren't using. That's another massive idea that I've got. I'm going to make some cash out of it. Don't use my idea, motherfucker. I mean, Mr., Mrs., Ms., people, folks. Thank you. Okay, the total for all this stuff is $700 to get started and averages out to be $70 per week to keep buying glue and hair for the rest of your life, basically. You understand that? $700 starter kit, all the stuff that I just talked about, and then about $70 a week forever to get glue and hair. And it costs me less because I can fit 3 stencils onto a single hairpiece, so I spend about $25 per week. But for people who are bald all over, it will cost about $70 per week using my recommendations. Also, you can get discounts on things if you buy more, and it's cheaper to buy reusable, less realistic hair systems, such as French lace. If saving money is more important than how it looks and you don't mind constantly cleaning and maintaining your hairpiece. I've told you about some of the cons. The hair comes through, not only comes through and sticks down, you can't wear a hat. The front hairline is always requiring cleaning and stuff, but I think that's going to be the case with poly anyway. And also the glue shines through in summer, very shiny. In fact, this stuff here, I'm not sure about other hair glues, adhesives, but this stuff here is the shiniest glue there is. So during summertime, any sunshine that touches your head will bounce back into the lighthouse building and blow up the lighthouse. So you be careful with that shit. Also, anybody looking at your face with their eyes after seeing the sunshine reflect off your face will be blinded permanently. So be very careful using this product. Unless you're using poly, in which case it doesn't matter. And it also might not matter which type of glue you use with poly, given that the whole thing's like a big suction cup on your head. I might downgrade my hold levels once I start wearing poly full time. If the V-lips don't piss me off and the plastic hairline doesn't piss me off, and I get the accuracy I need back here, so there's no plastic hair band looking effect, which I had the last time I tried it on. But I figured it was about my inaccuracies, and this time I'm going to try to measure properly, which is why I'm starting again with a stencil, in addition to wanting to teach you from scratch how to get everything done. Okay, so French lace is durable and can last for months if you look after it, but the glue shines through in summer, and companies don't bleach their knots properly, as I showed you at the beginning of this video. If you choose the cheaper method, that's the lace method, French lace, it might only cost you $10 a week, because you can just keep re-cleaning and doing the maintenance on it. I've included the cost of shipping in all my estimates, and I find them to be accurate. So $700 will get you the starter kit with all these three hair pieces and 3 glues and 3 adhesive removers and 3 alcohol sprays and a beard trimmer and a bunch of other things that will last you for months and months and months. But the big purchases are going to be basically the hair pieces, because glue can last quite a while. If you're doing lots of touch-ups and stuff, then this will probably last a month and a half, maybe 3 months if you use it sparingly. But I'm hoping I won't need any touch-ups with the poly. I'm hoping I'll put on the glue, pre-glue it, edge to edge on that stuff. No need to line up anything up here with gluing and stuff, or try to guess where the front hairline's going to land anymore, because it'll be on the hairpiece, and I've pre-glued it, then I'll go, done. Well, I'll go, done. That's the pre-gluing method. Number 3. Grow your hair for 4 months, so it's 1.5 inches long. So this has now been growing for about, I think I shaved it at the start of April, so it was 0 all over, and it's now late July. So April, May, June, July. So this is 4 months long now. This is 1 inch long. So it's about 1.25 inches long at the moment. So yeah, if you can get 1 inch after 3 months or so, then you can start doing that. But if you're doing a full cap because you are completely bald, then you can have a much shorter back and sides. So if you want to just have hair around from there to there and stuff, then you're not doing the over flappage here, right? You're not doing this trick to blend it anymore. In that case, you can just have the hair just flowing down around. You can have an undercut for a while until that hair grows back, and then cut it in as you like. You can probably just have a shaved head, and then just make sure that bit there, anywhere that's hair missing, is shaved to 0 and absolutely clean of stubble and everything, and then just put on the hairpiece without having to do that 3 months of growing. Okay? Step 4, leave town for a month. You're about to grow back a full head of hair in a single day, so you need to trick people and have time to suffer the frustration of learning and practicing how to do all this properly. Hopefully you will not measure your stencil incorrectly, or shave too much off your own head, or cut the hairpiece out incorrectly. But if you do, you have time to recover because you're away on holiday for a month. Also, the stresses of doing all this shit, what the fuck's going on? I would recommend a colder kind of climate. Sweating and shit is going to make this very difficult, okay? Unless you use the pre-glue method, in which case I've kind of solved everything for you, set them up. But still, come back with some glasses. Oh, yeah, I found out I need glasses after all, right? If you're wearing poly, you could have a hat. If you're not wearing poly, don't wear a fucking hat. It's going to fuck up your hairpiece and have the glue sweat through and the hair will still stick down and then it'll just be all disgusting. Haven't tried wearing a motorcycle helmet with a poly system, but that's something I can look forward to. Poly's going to give me a lot more freedom than lace did, I can tell you that, if I can get it right. Yeah, so you want to go get a bit of a beard going if you didn't have one before or something. So people go, there's something different about you. If you've been completely shiny, bald, and then you've suddenly got hair, you go away on holiday, you come back, and people think it's a bit of a joke, and then you still keep it. Week 2 comes and you still got it on, and I think we're home from holiday now, you can take that off. And say, no, I'm not taking it off, I like it. Okay, it's embarrassing, okay? You're gonna be embarrassed. It's scary to shave off your baby hairs, which you've been so valuably holding onto that little tuft or whatever you've had going on there, that comb over. But trust me, this is a lot better. Even looking between now and like effortlessly just go like that. Unless a really strong wind came along, I just don't think that would fall off for the rest of the day. And I have walked around like that. I've just gone, I can't be bothered having a shower. And then I just walk out the door like this. Not that I'm meeting a girl or going on camera or anything, but like times when I was going shopping, I'll just go, oh, put that on. Maybe a hat on top as well if I don't give a fuck. If this hairpiece is going to be thrown away anyway. Okay. Alright, so step 4 was leave town for a month. Step 5, shave your baby hairs off. That's the scary thing I was just talking about. You start with big juicy balls to give yourself the courage you need to do all the way to where you need it to go. Lucky that it didn't actually accidentally switch on while I was doing that. Then go over it with this and get that all exactly go against the grain and everything so it's smooth, right? Once you have everything, so basically I'm saying don't do that and then go and order everything. You need it all sitting down there and kind of ready to go. And the reason we're doing the shaving of the head prior to measuring it is because we want to see exactly where we're measuring. You can do it. You can do the stencil first if you want and just kind of guess where you will shave it. You could do that. Because then you can just think about it. You'll have the hair cut and everything and ready to go then. And then you go, all I have to do is shave my head and put that thing on my head. So you can do it that way around if you want, but I'm just, if you're definitely about to do this, then maybe you can do it this way, okay? Step 5, shave your baby hairs off. Once you have everything, use the beard trimmer to bravely shave off the entire area where you're balding, then shave it until it's shiny using the safety razor. Then have a shower, use baby wipes and hot water to get rid of all the hair and stubble. Dry your scalp with a towel and spray alcohol. You'll get used to this stuff, look. Just alcohol spray. And spray alcohol onto the scalp to remove any sweat so it's really clean. Hold back any natural hair by brushing it away and using a hairband. So basically you've got all your hair out of the way, it's all clean and everything, right? Okay, and now, trace step 6. See, I'm now getting into the steps like this leaving town for a month bit. After that, step 5 is something I need to do today, right? I need to shave my baby hairs off, which for me is just going to be the stubble, because I've already got rid of the baby hairs, because that bit there was basically the hair that was still there, but it was sparse, and I had these 2 big cowlicks that were just going back and back and back, and I tried using 2 V-shaped ones, didn't look good at all, wrong resolution, comparison, wrong density I mean, and so ended up just shaving that middle bit back, and now I've got leaf shapes, and that's the only way to do it. Don't do 2 V shapes here if you're sitting there and there. It doesn't look right. You can try it, but you'll be wasting hair. Okay. Dry your scalp with a towel and spray alcohol into the scalp to remove any sweat so it's really clean. Hold back any natural alcohol using the brushing away and hairband. I already read that. 6. Trace your bald spot. Place a clear hair holder that came with your hairpiece onto the head, or you could use cling wrap and clear tape, and make sure that's positioned forward to include your front hairline. Now, like I said, this thing doesn't bend around my scalp nicely. Sticks up too far, right? So in order to get this done, and I know I'm not going to cut out over here or here or anything, so I'm going to cut those so this whole thing bends better. I might as well just, this is the solvent, the glue remover. Has been used for a while. It won't prime. The pump isn't coming through. Oh, here it is, finally. Okay. Smells like timber from an orange tree or something. Okay, so that is working to dissolve the glue that's still stuck to my head. And I could try to spray it onto there, but trying to get it off and everything's just a pain in the ass. Better off just picking it out. Probably not, but speak to people who do clean and maintain their lace hair pieces, because I've never really bothered with it. I've just always thrown them away. Or kept them in storage for a time when I might be bothered or run out. You don't want to just throw them out, because you might get desperate and not be able to find or get delivered fast enough. It's a Chinese holiday or something. Okay, so now use hot water to clean this shit off. The baby wipes. So you'll find there's a thicker chunk in the beginning, and then it'll just get little bits and pieces towards the end. And you kind of just ball it up a bit as you're wiping. This stuff does stick to your fingers and stuff, so you have to keep cleaning your hands with soap and water and stuff to get it off. And towels are actually useful, so just clean with towels more often or something. Your towels really shouldn't be used as a cleaning product. Use the comb to get extra shit out of your hair. Use the baby wipes because they don't stick to anything. Just help get rid of any extra stuff that's lying around off your fingers or head. You just get your comb in there so it gets on any little glues with those spots. I hope you appreciate that I'm doing this in real time and not editing for the sake of your education. A lot of people do complain that my videos go too long, but I always wanted them to go full actual, show me how long it takes and all this other stuff. Then I get a lot of commenters who don't know anything about wearing a hairpiece to insult the length of time it takes. But you don't have to do this every day. I mean, this is just once every 2 or 3 weeks you do this. There's maintenance and checking and stuff that you got to do when you're brushing your hair, like with other people who've got a full head of hair, who are the ones who write, just accept it. Or people who've joined some bald club, who are really proud to be bald. There's no need to be proud of being bald. What would you know? My grandfather was bald. Fine. Be proud of being bald then. Okay. I'm now going to use this. See, we're applying all the lessons we just learned. And put that on hot water. Taut is a word you'll probably hear a lot today. You've got to hold your skin taut there. Just help it out a bit so you can get maximum skin stretchage. And when it comes to these top parts where you want to get it dead accurate, put your finger there so you can't shave past it. Then you'll just be shaving off the baby hairs that you got right the very first time. I didn't get it right the very first time. I actually came in too shallow. I didn't shave back far enough, and that's why there were a couple of little bits missing, a couple of little holes in the hairpiece where it connected further back there and there, because I assume my cowlicks had just gone like that, but they'd really actually gone like that and sort of more straight down, so there were little V's still existing there and there. There's still tiny ones, but I don't really want to go back any further for a bunch of reasons, mostly because I don't want to have to use a full cut stock hairpiece to do this, and I'm not willing to wait for a custom one to arrive. A custom hairpiece can take 2 months to get to you, by which time you've shaved your head. It's too long. That's why I say just guess your hair color. Do not correspond with the hair companies and waste your time waiting on emails and stuff. Just guess your hair color from the menu that they've got. Oh, it's that version of blonde or that version of brown or something, all right, or that version of red. I don't know if they've got that many aubans and reds though, because they've just really, stock pieces are mostly just made for the most amount of people, and redheads are minorities. I'm auburn, but my hair's slowly turned medium dark brown. And in summertime it goes medium brown, so it changes color if it's exposed to the sun, as most people's hair does, unless it's jet black, I guess. But most people with brown or blonde hair would have different shades of brown or blonde. Most people wouldn't perceive this, but since you're buying hair that's supposed to match, you'll notice it. You might think, oh no, my hairpiece is faded. But it's generally that your natural hair has darkened in winter or something. Okay, so shave your baby hairs off. Put some alcohol in here to just get rid of any sort of sweat or anything that's sort of lying around. Don't know if it does anything. This feels cleaner. Dry your scalp with a towel and spray alcohol into the scalp to remove any sweat so it's really clean. Hold back any natural hair by brushing it away and using the hairband. Just try to get hairs out of your brushes and combs and things and keep them clean. Like this has got too many hairs in it, it's going to cause issues later on if I've got glue on my scalp and it might land in there. Although that problem's gone away really if I pre-glue the hairpieces. I hope that system is going to fully work and I can get it to look absolutely realistic. I've already got ideas about how to make that really unnatural looking plastic band on the poly less straight. But the thing is, it can't be tugged at because it kind of will probably need me to just undulate some kind of erratic zigzag or something like that with the scissors before pre-gluing it. I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with that. But you can't just pinch bits of plastic out because the whole thing just goes stretch, rip. So that's something you can't do with poly that you can do with lace. You can pinch bits out of it and just keep pinching at it and it'll just fray out. And even the frayed bits of lace look enough like hairs that most people wouldn't be able to tell what's going on. With poly, every mistake matters. Okay, so that's going to be a bit of a challenge. Anyway, I still think that poly is the only way for me to stop that whole shine thing coming through. So I'm going to have to deal with it. The V-loops are a bit of a problem too, so wish me luck. Number 6, trace your bald spot. Place a clear hair holder that came in your hair pieces, came with your hair pieces onto your head, or you could use cling wrap and clear tape. And make sure that it is positioned forward to include your front hairline. Can't have that on at the same time, unfortunately. Okay, so do that. My front hairline will be above that bump there, so my front hairline will start there. I might just do like I told you and put a marker spot there. Try to clean up after yourself so you don't make a massive mess, otherwise you won't be able to find anything. Okay, so I'm going to make my front hairline. Okay, so there's the first bump, second bump, third bump, and I can tell you that my center is right there. Oh. About there. And then I will put this on my head, and I guess I'll put another black dot so it marks up so I can never lose where that positioning was. But this will not stretch the way I want it to, so I'm going to just do that for now. I don't know how a circle can be cut so that it bends nicely or whatever, but maybe that will help. Nope, didn't help. You might have to end up using that glad wrap and tape system if you've got a full cap. I'm sorry about that. This would not. See, even that is not allowing me to see how much is sticking up. This could have been a stupid idea in the first place. And this material, maybe not the best stencil type material in the world. Okay, this whole thing was a bad idea. Because I can't trace around that shape. Well, I can cut back to there at least to help maybe. As well. Okay. The other thing I want to know is where the temples will be, because this is all going to be an imaginary curve that I'm going to be drawing here that can't be traced. Now just looking at this previous one, well, it's good. Oh, you won't have a previous one, but so you'll be doing trial and error, but think up there really. Up there. Symmetry is not as easy as you'd think when you're doing this, by the way. So I can't even tell right now if they're even. And I'll want it kind of fairly flat along the front, I think, before it starts to curl up at the temples. Now this is permanent marker, that's not going to just wash off easily, but I obviously can wash my own skin eventually. But this is day one when you're on holidays, and this is not going to be seen by anybody, right? Except for maybe the concierges bringing in your room service with the voila, and pee with the parsley next to it. But you'll have your hair in a towel because you're on holiday, right? Okay. So now, I'm going to trace this thing out properly. Okay. Just remember, I'm going to have to cut my hair out, shave my head the same way every time. This probably isn't the best that I've got. I'm sorry, this was a very bad idea using this dome thing. Still working? Yeah. Okay. Man, that's not neat. You're better off getting somebody else to help you. Getting this wrong is going to fuck up every hairpiece that I ever make, right? That's so rough. Mine doesn't even need to be rounded. You know what I'm going to do now? Cut this out a bit more and refine it. I'm discovering on the fly. I'm a teacher in a way, but I haven't done it properly many times, and so therefore I might as well get it out of my go. And I'm not going to supersede those points for sure. So for all the rest of you, I'm sorry, but this is not the right material. You need to use the other way. You have to. That's so bubbly, so dome-like. This material, even after I've made it, won't make a good stencil. The thing is, anticipating that that would have worked until I realized how dome-shaped it is. Like, if I sit this into a hairpiece and then trace it, then I'll have to make sure that hairpiece is cupped around it so that there's curvature. I don't really want to do that on the floor while I'm tracing it out and stuff. It's just too wonky. You need a flat stencil, I think. It needs to be able to become flat, that's for sure. I mean, not for sure. If you've got a real full head of hair, then the curvature is probably going to help you. But that does not suit my head shape, this thing. So I don't know what other people use for stencils when they need to do the full head. And I don't think that that there is the same shape as that there. It would be better if it is, because then I can put on backwards or forwards and it doesn't matter. But if you look at my last stencil, then it ended up being that shape, like a bit like the Superman hope symbol exterior. Let's sing Indiana Jones. You've always got to start with that, and then you'll be able to think about it. Otherwise, you'll end up going, that's Star Wars, right? So just start with it, and then you can get it. It's like trying to make your mouth a certain type of shape or getting a phrase in the mind before you start to use a particular accent. Oh, shut. Can't trust your motherfucker. See, those outer edges don't extend to the full. Okay, let's assume we did the stencil step, because that's mostly coming off easily with just wet wipes. That's the other good thing about wet wipes. They've already got sort of chemicals on them and stuff. So don't expect to just be able to use a wet wipe and then apply glue straight on top of that, because I'm putting chemicals onto my forehead right now. Though, you know, if you do use these to wipe your butt or clean a baby's bum with it, then they can just pull up their pants and go after it's clean. So, but the thing is, I think this has probably got stuff in it that would combat glue, especially if it's been stuck to a sweaty head for 3 weeks. I do have stuff like no sweat and stuff, but I'm not going to incorporate that into this glue down, even though I can imagine the poly, I vaguely remember it does get very sweaty under there. And the thing is, with poly, your scalp is not going to be able to breathe. Okay, so I was going to cut all this stuff out with you and film that. I have to, don't I? Because that one that I had here is going the wrong way. I'm too tired now to keep going this lesson. It's already 1 hour and 11 minutes on this video, and the edit before that I have to add on to that's going to be like already 1 hour and a half, as it is. How about I just read the rest of what I get to you? The whiteboard, I'll throw that away. It's a waste of time. And I can't get out without climbing through here and, whoa, you know, to get out of here, I'm going to probably pull the towel rack off the wall, and the whole thing was the wrong size. Anyway, I'll read the rest of this to you. Okay. Trace your bald spot, place a clear hair holder that came with your hairpiece onto your head. Don't do that. Or use cling wrap and tape. So in videos I've seen from other people, I've never actually used this method. You do that, probably get tape and then tape that to there, pull that back tight, tape that to there, and then just wrap tape around until it becomes a solid thing, right? In fact, if I just hold it with my hand right now, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, here we go. This isn't cling wrap. This isn't cling wrap. It's actually packaging from that whiteboard behind me. So I guess the whiteboard wasn't purchased in vain after all. Curiouser and curiouser. Okay, so if there are wrinkles, how the fuck am I supposed to know where the wrinkles end and the scalp begins? That won't be reliable. Yeah, how's the poly going to go in the heat of the summer? You can already see the stick on this stuff, right? How sticky it is, how already sweaty it's become from just a few seconds. Poly's going to stay on for 2 to 3 weeks. That must be very sweaty under there. It could get uncomfortable. You want to put some sort of antibacterial something in there, wouldn't you? They will thrive in that environment. It's scalp cancer with poly. Extremely sweaty. You know, I think the method you're supposed to use is you ignore these lines here, because if you trace that and then pulled it open, then the trace is no longer effective. You've got to put tape all around, and then the tape will be flat enough as a sort of paper mache construction. Then you cut, then you place that down, and then you trace out a nice piece of plastic and turn that into a stencil. But just glad wrap on its own tracing around that, it's got lines through it, and therefore it won't work, right? And if I stretch it to remove any of that stuff, then who's to say that it won't start shrinking back in, and by the time I finish tracing, it's shrunk. I'm going to pause this while I have a break, cigarette, and watch a bit of TV, maybe have some air conditioning or something, because it's more exhausting for me than it is for you. You can always fast forward or slide through the timeline. Okay, I've had a bit of a think about it. I think cling wrap is actually thinner than this stuff, so you might be able to do it without having any fold lines in it. Which is basically what I just achieved by putting it on an angle there. But the angle wouldn't continue all the way around. I could probably trace that. Let's just quickly try. Right, that wasn't the thinking I'd done. The thinking I'd done was I found some tape, but I didn't find clear tape, so I was going to layer this all over it, over my scalp, and then just cut it out, or just approximate it. And then whatever shape I came up with from that, because I bought the whiteboard, I found a bit of plastic that would be nice to use. That's quite stiff as a plastic tracer for permanent stencil. I'll use that in the end anyway, so I'll just grab that bit of plastic while I'm here. So this is instead of a Tupperware lid, whatever else you can find. I'm cutting it bigger than I need it just in case I need a second attempt. Okay, that will be the foundation for my new stencil. So, that distance, and then that distance, so that's where the front of the middle of the hairline will be, is there. And the peaks I decided were about there. And I wanted this to be quite flat along the front, really. Still, it starts going up at the edges. Can you tell if that's going to be a natural kind of, is it too low? It doesn't matter. At least the front hairline will be that shape, whether it's there or half a centimetre back. It's too low. It's better to be too big than too small. The thing is with the stencil, it depends how you cut it out, you might have to end up trimming the stencil later on, but you want to try to get it right. There's no way to trace that onto there, obviously. in any accurate way, so I'm going to go with that angled back, and I will use some tape to just hold that plastic in position after I've put it down. Hopefully it will help hold it. Hopefully you've got a bigger bench than me. My bench is tiny. Okay, so guess I didn't need all that. Just needed a tiny piece of tape to hold that in this instance. Okay, now trace this, resting my shit that's already bent. It can't be bent like that. It's got to be flat. Because when I straighten it out, it's not going to work. And the hair's there. Come in. Yeah, that is a similar shape to what I had last time. More of a shape of a mouth than a leaf, so it's not a uniform leaf shape that way. If I started cutting back into this part here, because this bit actually at the top is quite flat, that would have to be all cut out to make a symmetrical piece, which would be useful because then I could swap the flow of the hair, but with the poly it won't matter. And I don't really think it makes that much difference if I did cut that extra, shave that extra piece of hair out there to make a full leaf. To shave off that. And probably, if I think about it, it would come in very handy to just have a fully symmetrical piece that could flip both directions. But I'm not going to do it yet. I'm not ready. So, I guess the next bit is going to be on the floor. Let me just read some of this more to you. Okay, so trace your bald spot, place a clear hair holder that came with your hairpiece. No, don't do that. Or you could use cling wrap and clear tape. Yeah, do that. And make sure that it's positioned forward to include your front hairline. Now use the permanent marker and mirrors to trace your bald area all the way around and include the way you want your front hairline to be. Your front hairline needs to be higher than your top forehead wrinkle when you raise your eyebrows. Look at the spaces between your forehead wrinkles and place a marker dot an equal space above the top one. That's much distance and then that much distance. From there you can decide for yourself how high up your temples you want the hairline to curve. I've gone to there, but I might refine it if I later find that I want to bring it up to there or something. Because you can always cut the stencil smaller. Unless it's too small and then you've got to start again. Look at the photos of people your age to help you figure out the best hairline shape. The last page. Carefully cut the hair holder along the shape you just traced. Use the scissors to cut out your stencil. If this plastic is too soft, find a thicker piece of clear plastic such as the lid of a container or the back of a white marker accessories package. And then cut that out. The accuracy of this stencil you're making in relation to the shape of the area you just shaved and the size of the hair pieces you will cut will vary slightly and is not an exact science. Use your discretion to make it as well as you can. All hair pieces can be stretched slightly and can be trimmed if necessary. I don't trust stretching poly. I think it shrinks back to its original shape or its warped version of its shape. You might need to refine your stencil as time goes by if you want improved accuracy. all steps from now on are about cutting and placing a hairpiece. So I'm going to take this camera into the other room and start filming the floor. Okay, so that's the piece of plastic that I've just cut out, or just drawn, traced around my head. And here is the piece of plastic that I'm going to trace onto. I'll just do it up there so I get a couple of extra attempts. Now, there's a little thing that I want to check out first, and that is, how does this compare to the one that I had before? This is the one I've been using for ages. As you can see, the one I've been using for ages is actually bigger than the one I'm about to cut out. And given that my hair pieces are sometimes cut a little bit too small, because when you trace that onto the base of the hairpiece, you've got a black line from that on the hairpiece. So you're not going to include that in the cut. So you end up cutting the interior of it out, and that's an arbitrary amount that you're jettisoning. Ideally, you wouldn't use a marker like I tell you to. You'd use something that can be washed off, which runs around the perimeter, where you cut along the actual marker line. So, but I've never found something as effective as a marker for drawing onto lace or poly, such as an eyeliner pencil, because it's hard to see, it doesn't always grip, it requires sharpening, etc., whereas this is always going to work. Scissors will always cut exactly where you aim them, but are you going to be cutting along the marker line or inside the marker line? And I always cut inside the marker line, which I don't think is a major problem, but it means that every single unit that I cut is slightly different in size because of that arbitrary difference that I've decided to cut inside to avoid the marker line. So I don't really want to cut it smaller than it already is. And I'm at an advantage to some new person who's doing this, because they're just going to trust what this says. And I like this one better. But with poly, there's no room for error with poly. But being bigger is safer, you know what I mean? So I'll start with the hair, the natural hairline where it meets back here, and I'll go from there. Let's have a look. Of course, I've got more control because my hand is leaning here. This marker does not like to work on an angle. It doesn't seem to draw well when it's on an angle like that. See? But if it's dead straight, then it draws better. Just draw basically a treble clef. Okay, so now that is to that point there. And from this point, I don't really want to have an extremely sharp line. So I'm going to round that a little bit. And then maybe I'll just force this down a little bit further than I've actually drawn, so that the hairpiece is a little bit bigger. Not exactly symmetrical, is it? I do prefer that being a little bit curved compared to the non-curved version up here, but it could cause problems because that's what I actually traced, but obviously my tracing wasn't perfect. Then this tracing wasn't perfect. I'm just going to go with the what I've drawn here, as best as the scissors will allow. Because the scissors are the dictator. They're the final commander-in-chief of this operation. So that's the old one. And that's the new one. The new one is a little bit wider. And a little bit shorter at the front too. Those sharp points did not help me when I was doing lace too much, because anything that's kind of sharp and pointy can be peeled easily. But sometimes I found that I have had to actually cut this excess off my scalp. When I do have a hairpiece, I do sometimes have to cut that much off my scalp at the end, so maybe this is more accurate, even though it doesn't seem like it's exactly centered. I mean, it's not symmetrical, is it? It should be symmetrical if my head is symmetrical, shouldn't it? It's really not symmetrical at all. I'm not sure how well you can see all this. But yeah, that does force the texture, sorry, the marker to obey. The flexibility of this one is plastic. It's basically the same type of plastic. So yeah, if you can't find plastic anywhere, if you've bought something recently, check out the packaging. If you buy a pair of scissors, or well, they'd have to be pretty big scissors, then the back part of it might be able to be cut out to create the stencil for you if your hairpiece isn't too big. I don't want a hairline that isn't symmetrical though. I want a symmetrical hairline. So I might just try to do this again using a ruler to help measure out exactly. Maybe even just get something that is rectangular and line it up a bit. I'm sorry this isn't entirely visible for you with that camera. Hopefully it is. It depends on how good your screen is as well, I suppose. So which side do I like better? I'm going to choose the sharp pointy side because so I'm going to say that fold that I've made is accurate, and that point will determine the halfway line. So I'll trace one half of it twice. Easier to do it onto the paper, I guess. Right. So this is going to be a trace of a trace of a trace. Okay. So that will be the center. This marker actually probably needs to be replaced. So right now. Okay, so that needs to remain exactly there. This will also give me the extra size I wanted. Okay, so you see what I've done there? Now I'm going to make it exactly symmetrical. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. It shows you how asymmetrical my previous hairpiece was. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Wow, wow, wow. Now remember, for this part of the stenciling, I'm cutting down the middle of the marker line rather than inside or outside the marker line, because I think I've got the right size. So when I trace onto the lace base, sorry, it is called a base, but I've been calling it the underside of the hairpiece. Hopefully this stencil will make a little bit of a bigger hairpiece than the stencil actually is. So I'll have excess maybe, but then I can refine the stencil if I need to. That's the bastard side. This is the side I kept. There, see? And because that came in at the bottom there, I just continued the roundness all the way around. Although, a bit worryingly, that bit there seems to drop down at the edge. This is the original. Let's see how the final copy lines up with the original. That's the actual tracing of my scalp. Is that top span wide enough? Okay, so that's might work. Might be a bit of excess plastic at the top there. I might have to either cut in or shave my head back a bit or something for that. This bit at the front I'm quite happy with, based on my guess, but that will come down lower than where it needs to be, so this will probably need to be refined at the front later on. Okay, so now I'm going to get the hair and I'm going to actually keep this as that's my official stencil. That and that is all rubbish. I'll keep that one and I'll throw out that one as well. And that can be if I have totally screwed it up as a spare. So this is the box without all the extra Lord Hair packaging and stuff. Here's one of the 0.03 millimeter ultra thin hair pieces that came, and I've cut it out using my old stencil. So as you can see, it's smaller than the stencil because when I trace around, let me just zoom in on that with this. Okay, let's come here. So when I trace that onto a new piece, it creates a black marker line where I've traced it, and then I cut along the inside of the black marker because I don't want black marker on the edges of the hairpiece and I'm not willing to use an eyeliner pencil anymore. So that's the old one. We'll just compare what the new one's going to be like by comparison. So this is the new stencil. By comparison. So these external points protrude a lot more. And the rest of it seems about right. But it's more uniform because I've made this one symmetrical all over. So I'm gonna use a stencil now on the new hairpiece. This is a brand new from a pack of 3 of the pieces that came in the box, and I've taken most of the packaging away. It's S22. It's got an instruction book here. It came with the comb as a little gift from Lord Hair. So it's packaged nicely, and that's my 3rd hairpiece there. It was delivered within a week, or maybe it was Chinese holidays when I ordered it, so it took a little bit extra time, but usually within a week. That sticker there, I tried to remove it last time, but I couldn't get it off. So if your hairpiece I can't get it off, and if I pulled on it, it might rip the poly anyway, so no point. Now I've said before, before the way I cut things out was just to put a stencil there, and a stencil there, and a stencil there, and I could fit 3 of these. But because of the problem with the V-loops looking extremely wrong sideways, can you zoom in on that properly? I really want you to get a good shot on that. Can you see how when that's put up against the skin it's all sideways and it looks really wrong? The hairs really have to flow in that direction. So this hairpiece now needs to be discarded. I can't demonstrate that to you, but that is cut against, that's cut in the wrong direction. It should have been cut that way in the hairpiece. So I'm assuming the sticker is in alignment with the hairs flowing that way. So this would be the front piece where there's excess. And yes, that's confirmed by looking at that bit there in the front. So if I cut a hairpiece now, I'll want the hairs to flow from nose to spine, not ear to ear, okay? Also the hairpiece is longer this way than it is this way. So my stencils will have to be cut with the north to south accurate. I'm just trying to see if I can tell up front how many I can get. So from there, I'm hoping I can still get 3, but I don't think I can. 1, 2, if I push that a little bit there. 2, ooh, that stretched out a bit at the end, didn't it? 3. Right, so now I think I can actually get 3 out of this. So 1, that still includes the plastic thing. I might have to figure out a way to remove that with some sort of solvent or something, because that's the problem. 1. I'll try to bunch them up as close as I can. And those little peaks on the end are causing me some grief in just catching on things. They're just catching too much, so I'm just going to round them off. So it has no sharp edges anymore, the stencil. And the flow of the hair here, this part in the middle here, I suspect because of the V-loops rather than knots, that center area that flows in every direction away can be brushed away, so it won't matter anymore. How's the lighting for you? I've really got a beefy setup of lighting here, so I hope you can see all this nicely. Okay, so I'm going to start at the top, keeping the north to south, nose to spine orientation. And that will help guide me, that little sticker, to see which way is up. I'm going to avoid that lip of excess plastic on the front rim. And I've got to remember to try to push it up as far as I can so that I can fit 3 instead of just... And like I say, this is because I've just got receding hairline instead of a full bald top, so I don't require all of the hairpiece. But now it's been a bit twisted, I've lost which way is up, because I don't want these things too much of an angle. I want them going straight from nose to spine, so I'm just going to get that and face that there. Okay, marker. It really doesn't look like I'll fit 2 more, does it? Can you see what's going on? When I look at that tiny little screen up there, I can't see how much you'll be able to see later on. Hopefully that helps, that zooming. Oh, that's going to be right on the front hairline. I should have fucking drawn it the other way. That's going to be right at the very front now. That'll be totally visible. I have to get rid of that now. If it was back up there, it would have been up higher in my hairline, but still. Now, I have no idea how to get rid of that. Okay, I'm going to do one thing. I will spray on some C22 adhesive and move on to it. I don't think it'll work, but... Whatever glue they've used here is extremely strong, and I think I'm going to tear a hole in the poly before this sticker can be removed. In fact, I think I already just did with a tiny little hole. Yeah, there's a hair coming out. There are hairs coming out through a hole that I just made. If that can't be removed, then that's my next valuable lesson. But one thing I did notice while I was putting on that adhesive remover was it started to remove some of this black marker, because that black marker will be visible to people on the outside. Maybe alcohol will work. Let's try to use the alcohol to get the sticker off first. It's an outside chance. Oh, there's a bit of lifting. Okay, can you see this? Bit of lifting. Oh, hello. I got the edge of it. It is possible, ladies and gentlemen, it is possible to get this sticker off. Now, I don't want to stretch the poly, so I'm going to keep applying more alcohol. Not that the alcohol was definitely the thing that did it. It could have just been... I can feel it's going to tear a hole in it. Hair companies, please stop doing this. Just find another method of labeling the hair pieces. This is wrong. But it must come off. Oh, see, it's a hole being torn in it. I don't know if you can see how the hole is forming there. The camera, the screen on this camera does not show me. Oh man, if that hole continues to grow, then this hairpiece needs to be discarded. That hole might already be too big. It's growing so much. There'll be a bald patch right at the front of my scalp. You fucking idiots. Why did you put that sticker there like that? You fucking idiots, man. Oh, there's another hole. 2 holes there now. Do you hair companies not know what you're doing? Like seriously, why the fuck did you do this? Doesn't matter what size hairpiece somebody has, they're gonna have this sticker as part of their fucking hairpiece, and you can see it through the fucking scalp. Oh man. Fuck you. That's crazy. Now look at this gigantic hole that's been formed. Fit my finger through it. As if people won't notice that. I'll try to glue it down in such a way that that is glued together. You see what like the day you find that out, if you ran a company, wouldn't you just immediately say to everybody, oh my god, we just realized something we've been doing wrong all these years, let's change it now. Nobody's to stick any more labeling. It doesn't take more than 1 minute to entirely change your company's policies, does it? Oh, we've just realized that putting asbestos into the baby's formula is bad for their health. But finish with that batch first, don't worry about changing policies, because we're expected to take weeks to change our policies. So just keep poisoning babies until we decide that it's time, as a committee, to sit down and work together that's what it takes to get the sticker off, if you can manage. I was just lucky with that outer lip area there. So taking it off will tear a hole in your lace or your poly. Doesn't matter. It's always going to make a hole in your hairpiece. Now here's the bit that people find strange, because they don't use their feet for anything. Okay, so you need your toe. Cut the toenail off so it's more beautiful for the people watching at home. Don't really know what this lump is, could just be years of wearing shoes, but I walked around bare feet for a lot of my youth and it was already there. I have broken my toe a few times, so I'm supposed to get an x-ray. Okay, so you hold that like that. Now, you don't just cut through all the hairs on the back, do you? You don't just cut through haphazardly through all these hairs and destroy the hairpiece. That would be idiotic. You wiggle the hair through. And keep sliding it like that. Now, we're not cutting along the marker line, we're cutting inside the marker line, so there's no black edge on the hairpiece, because that'll be totally visible. These scissors are no good. I need more control closer in. It's a lot harder to get a grip when it becomes smaller, so try to keep that excess hair attached while you're cutting as long as you can. They're very straight, unnatural looking lines, aren't they? I really hope that nobody notices. I guess it depends on the way I'm going to style my hair. Otherwise, from now on I'm going to call them racing stripes. Because that is not natural to have that many straight lines. To have any straight lines at all, really. Running through your scalp like that. Now let's compare this one to the first one, even though this one is the one I'm going to discard, because that was cut. Now can you see? See, that one is side to side, whereas that one is cut front to back. From my perspective, right in front of me, it looks exactly the opposite of each other. And if the camera can't pick that up, then there's not much I can do to help you, because these ones are running side, 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 side all the way along. The racing stripes are going that way. Completely wrong. I'm going to throw this in the garbage. This one has racing stripes, so at least at the front hairline, there'll be a clear break between the front hairs, instead of them being washed. So clearly, with 3 hair pieces, if I did this all exactly accurate and perfectly, I would get 9 hair pieces for $400. But of course I was able to use a StickOnHair coupon. It was my first time, and so I would have got them for $320, which would have been about $107 for 3. If so, say $35 each. And they'll last for 2 to 3 weeks each, so that's $15 or so per week. Then there's the glue and all the other stuff, but I have heaps of that already, which I spent money on in the beginning. Covert Walker Ultra Hold. And the first piece I will wear this time around will be this one. But first of all, no first of all. Straight out of the box, I'm going to apply glue to this. Any washing, shampooing or conditioner, I will do that later. So I'm going to pre-glue this now. keep this part of the stencil. Of course, you want to avoid getting the hairs, but you still want to get the edges. If you can, try to cut the stencil out and leave the hollowed out part completely intact as much as you can, so that you can do this. This is something, as I say, I've only ever done once before. It is a struggle to try to keep this neat, and definitely very difficult to keep it uniform. I've already just put some hair glue on the hair. This front part is lifting. You want it stretched, and you want it all the way to the edge. I hope this video helps illustrate for you how often you need baby wipes throughout this entire process. Just think about how quickly this glue is drying while I do this. Not only there, but more importantly here in the bottle where I have had the lid off for so long. See what's happening already? I've spent so much time with the lid off that soon it will coagulate and I'll have to throw it away. And these hairs around the outside are a real problem. It's probably better for you to do this if the hair was kind of wet and then or damp after you wash the hairpiece, and then you made sure this bottom part was dry. Also, if you had some sort of primer to spray down onto the base before the glue was applied, everything might work out a bit smoother as well. You've got to keep this. Keep them together. With that and that. Put this lid back on properly every time. The stuff will dry out. All glue will dry out. Just keep putting the lid back on the glue as often as you can. This is all going in a bin. And these two I'll put away here. And in 15 minutes that'll be ready to put on my head. And this one with the hairs in the wrong direction, I'll throw this out now. You've seen that, right? How it's wrong. Okay, so I was up to the part where you have to cut out the stencil and the hairpiece. So I'll just read to you what I just did. Step 6 was trace your bald spot, and it ended with look at photos of people your age to help you figure out the best hairline shape. And I do mean people who've got a full head of hair. Step 7, carefully cut the hair holder. Now, it was the plastic sheeting. The hair holder didn't work. It was too rounded for my head size anyway. If it easily fits over all of your heads, then you'll know I've got a big head. Use the scissors to cut out your stencil. If this plastic is too soft, find a thicker piece of clear plastic such as the lid of a container and trace the shape onto that, then cut that out. The accuracy of the stencil you're making in relation to the shape of the area you just shaved and the size of the hair pieces you will cut varies slightly, and it's not an exact science. Use your discretion and make it as well as you can. All hair pieces can be stretched slightly, though I don't trust poly being stretched, and can be trimmed if necessary. You might need to refine your stencil as time goes by if you want improved accuracy. Step 8, place the stencil onto the underside of the hairpiece. Please be aware that poly thin skin hairpieces use V-loops and will look wrong if you cut them sideways. V-loops need to run from nose to spine, not ear to ear, so place the stencil with the correct alignment onto the underside of the hairpiece so that the V-loops will flow from nose to spine when you wear it. If you're using a lace hairpiece, then make sure you keep any folds and the ID sticker at the back, because the front hairline is the most important part of your hairpiece. Oops. That little ID sticker is very annoying and I don't know how to remove it, but hopefully it's at the back of your head or not part of your hairpiece. I ripped a hole in my hairpiece trying to get that thing off. Now trace the shape using the marker onto the underside of your hairpiece. If you're lucky and you don't need a full cap, then you can fit the stencil twice. I could fit 3 stencils onto a lace hairpiece, but with poly the V-loops forced me to keep them aligned from nose to spine, and now I can only fit 2. No, I was lucky, I fit 3. Even using the new stencil. Step 9, cut out your hairpiece. This requires you to use your toes to hold the hairpiece taut, so take off your shoes and sit on the floor with your hairpiece and scissors. Now hold the hairpiece with the underside facing up, taut with your toes and free hand. Then wiggle the scissors between all hairs underneath so you don't cut hairs, and cut your hairpiece out. Remember, wiggle your scissors between the hairs so you don't cut any hairs. Also face upwards with the bottom blade of the scissors so that it sort of plows through the hairs and doesn't cut through any hairs, right? Step 10, wash your hairpiece with shampoo and conditioner in the basin. Shake it and use a hairbrush to brush it from the front hairline to the back of the hairpiece. In my case, I brush it the other way because I apply at the back of my hairpieces first. So when I apply my hairpiece, I'll want to be able to see that area clearly, and it would be helpful if that was facing downwards. The one I just pre-glued, I actually didn't brush at all, so now I'm going to have to struggle a bit to get that done. Now it says pre-glue your hairpiece. Please note that you cannot pre-glue lace hairpieces, only poly hairpieces. Use your foot or books or something, the external part of the stencil, keep that part, it's really useful to hold it down. Then paint the entire underside of your hairpiece with Walker tape, ultra hold glue. Avoid getting glue on any hairs, then dry for 15 minutes. I got glue on my hairs just there. And there. But that's the front hairline there, so hopefully I'll be able to comb that out with the help of alcohol afterwards. Now, logically speaking, it shouldn't matter if it's pre-glued or if I glue this part, right? Now the benefit to pre-gluing this part is that I don't have to do the front section and get it wrong because it will be completely accurate. Now this is glued absolutely accurately. So now what I'm going to do just clean my scalp and put that thing on because it's been drying for 15 minutes. That's just to try to remove any sweat that's on my head. This room's fairly hot, and I've closed the window there because the neighbour's balcony faces in at me, so I don't want them to see. And then I'm also going to spray alcohol onto there. Now it's slippery, and that's the front hairline and that's the back there. So unfortunately I've stopped myself from being able to see exactly where I'm placing this, which is a major problem. And make sure you pull any hairs that have fallen down onto the base, and then center it to where you need to apply it. It's very slimy. And you really want those hairs to be damp so you can actually see through them at what you're doing. In my case, I can't see what I'm doing, so I can't line that up back here properly without bending those hairs forward now. Luckily there's enough alcohol in there to give me the slime I need to slip it back a little bit, but I'm worried that this will be a bit of a disaster. Don't have any overhang of the plastic of your natural hairs back there, otherwise it will be visible. I've totally missed this area. Seriously, that's a big problem that I just made for myself. I'm not sure how the application looks because I cannot see through these hairs at all. And I can see that it's wrong now. You need to wet the hairs. Everything's sticky and messy down here now. And some of the residue of the glue is already stuck down to my forehead. So, very hard to reapply at this point. Don't make this mistake. I hope you're learning from my mistakes now. I don't want to be showing you this and having people complain that I didn't show you enough or the video went for too long. Because this is the stuff that I would have loved to have seen so that I didn't have to do it. I'm your little guinea pig here, so I hope you appreciate that. Now that's wonky, isn't it? You can't miss. The hairs on the back of the headpiece must be wet. They cannot be dry. Do you hear me? Otherwise you will not be able to see through at what you're doing. Now, I've probably just put water, a lot of water. I'm trying to resist it. I've got my fingers stuck into the glue side of the base, and I'm trying to hold on to it without degrading the glue and trying not to get water on it. But I'm sure I've degraded the effectiveness of that pre-glue. Water isn't just going to wash ultra hold off the fingers. You must use baby wipes. There's no other way. And you've got to force the glue off. And it can stay on there for hours, if not days, if you don't really get on there. And just force it off. Don't burn your fingers in hot water trying to get off. It'll just melt and still stay there. You've got to. It's probably better off if it's dry and then you can pick it off. But it doesn't pick out of your fingerprints and fingernails and so on easily. So you've really just got to use force until it comes free. Heating it up in hot water, that makes things worse. Okay? It just sticks to everything. And when you make a mistake like I just did, Now you got hair all over the place. It just makes everything messy. So it's good that this has happened for your sake. I hope you appreciate that. So I'm going to use alcohol now and the comb to get hairs out of here. This surface needs to be clear. And all that glue that I thought I'd taken off my fingertips earlier, it just stays there. It didn't move. It's just every time you pick something up, you can just feel it sticking to your fingers. So one hair, it'll just get in your eye and tickle your ear, and it's just annoying. So really try not to get glue on your fingers. It's the worst. Look at that. Can you see what's happening here? I really hope the visibility of this camera is good enough to pick up the bright lights in this room, because it's very bright here in this room. If it looks dark to you, then the camera is just simply not good enough. It's not as bright as daylight, but iPhone 6 cameras are not the best in the world, are they? Okay. I used a 4K camera to film the stencil cutting and the hair cutting, but I'm going to have to downgrade that to 720p, otherwise I'll have to upscale the 720p footage into 4K, and that would be silly. Okay, so it's wettish now. I'm not willing to test out any more water on it. And it appears that there is still some water on the side. I'm not sure if it'll help. So there's no stick to that. There's no stick there anymore. I'm going to try spraying alcohol into it. I really don't want to have to go through the pain of re-gluing this base. Okay, so it's got alcohol in it now. I'm just going to reapply it. And the hairs just always want to keep falling in if it's not wet. The weight of the water on the hairs is definitely one of the most helpful things you can do as you apply the hairpiece. So do not apply a dry hairpiece to your head. It must be damp. The base must be dry, but the top, the hairs themselves, must be damp. I'm not saying dripping wet, I'm just saying, damn it. I've already got glue on my forehead, so that has to be sprayed with alcohol as well, otherwise the slipperiness trick will not work. Okay, let's go for broke. This should, yes, it slides, and now I can actually see mostly where the top is going and try to balance out where the edges land. Already starting to grip a bit now because the alcohol is evaporating. The glue might have all peeled off, so this whole thing might be futile at this point. Just trying to line up those outer edges so that there's no overhang or gaps, and also making sure that the edges are equal at the temples. And I guess I've also got to make sure that the front hairline is in position. A helpful thing to do at this point is to brush back the hairs at the back, so you've got some better hold at that point, and then it's very awkward. It's very awkward and wet and sticky, and This is a very good lesson for you. Don't let it fold in at the front either. Just really try to keep it centered. And I think it's going to be askew. Okay, there's a temple there and a temple there. Yeah, that's a front metal. Don't press down if there's any curling on the edges. You need to make sure that you've got flat contact around the perimeter. I'll check the damage in a second, and I hope there are no gaps. Water spray. Sorry, that's something I didn't include in the list that you need. You need water spray. So you'll need an empty spray bottle, and then fill it with water, and now you've got water in the spray bottle. So that's water spray, okay. Probably best to clean out whatever was in there first. So that's a clean water bottle. The alignment is going from nose to spine, so that's correct. The wall of hair issue that I'm seeing from my eyes right now is horrendous. I hope it can be rectified. Hard to tell in its current state how this is going to dry or look when it's finished. But at present, even though this is supposed to be medium light density, it looks like shoe polish. It looks like ultra thick density at the moment. I bought that whiteboard today thinking I know enough to be a teacher of this stuff, but now I realize I'm not. And it's not like I can spray lace or alcohol through the hairs, because it's just going to hit plastic and not go through, which means I've got to tug on and pull up on those edges. It looks here like I've got a big space where I missed. Did I? It's really hard to tell. At the moment, it looks completely fake. This might be one of those situations where I can never have a fringe. I can never have a brush back look. I'm still pulling glue off my fingers from before, still. It's very annoying. I'm doing it the whole time. It's the main thing annoying me while this hair flies all over the place and all the other stuff's going on. So you use your thumb and you just push it up like that. Wetting the glue actually makes it worse. You're probably better off just rolling it, like trying to get off like plasticine stuff. That C22 stuff, that solvent, that adhesive remover, just makes things even more messy as the glue deteriorates into your fingers, and then that stuff stuck on your fingers as well. So that's one good thing about water-based adhesives. You can just rinse your hands under water. Gives you a lot more play time to fix things up. And like I say, this poly probably doesn't need really strong adhesive. And the thing is, if you do have a shower, you could avoid it, you know, for the first 24 hours. Just wait for it to dry, I guess. But then the steam might affect it, but probably not too much. So you probably have a shower with water-based adhesive and it'll be a lot easier to deal with. A lot less hold in the beginning, but it hardens over time, apparently. So the overhang is a big problem. If the poly overhangs your natural hairline back here, the plastic would be completely visible. Hard to see at the moment, everything's completely darkened because of the wetness of it all. But like I say, the front hairline looks like shit. Let's have a look. See if it's surmountable. Feels like it's got good grippage there. Strange. Right. This could be a lesson for me. What have they done here? It's almost as if these hairs over here aren't going front to back. These ones are, but these ones are more going on an angle like that, resulting in a sideways affliction on the sides here. I don't know where I got this hairpiece from in the hairpiece, but if this came from the center and they made everything branch out in every direction, like a bunch of fucking morons, I mean, surely they didn't do that. Surely they all go in the same direction as each other. Because these ones at the front, I'm sorry, I can't do anything else about the camera if you can't clearly see that they're going front to back. I can, alright? Just trust me. These ones it's hard to tell. These ones don't. The V-loops appear to be coming in sideways. Do you understand what I'm talking about? If you don't, I'm sorry, I just can't help you. You need a higher IQ for this video. Please go back to my first video from 2011 and start from scratch. Because I can't explain it any better. But now I have a blackboard, a whiteboard, ready? Which is... There's the hairpiece, and that's a V-loop coming out of it. Do you understand? That's a V-loop. And that's a knot. The reason they make knots on lace is because they just tie them in with a little handheld tool. And you can see footage of that on YouTube of little Chinese ladies tying it in with twisting. It's like, you know, ladies knitting. That's basically how a lace hairpiece is created. I haven't seen one of these ones made, but I know how they sit. So V-loops are can be drawn like that, but realistically, they sit in hair more like this. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's the real shape of a V-loop. It's been punched through this plastic. And if you get a bunch of them side by side, do you see what's going to happen? Wall of hair. you don't want the wall of hair. You want the channels. You want the hairs to go like that. That is what a V looks like from above. That's what a V looks like sideways, but that's what a V looks like from above. I'll draw a V from above again, just in case you didn't get it. Now, can you imagine what a V looks like from above? Okay, looking down at the letter B. Ready? Do you understand yet? That's a V sideways. Now, if I was to look down at it, that's what it looks like from above. Okay? So, imagine them all running like that, right? Towards, or sideways. What we want, see, it's going to be hard for me to draw this because this is what a V looks like from above, but this is what a V looks like from the side. At any rate, your front hairline is going to be here, right? The hairline. Sorry, your hairline will be more like this. Yeah, I like this whiteboard, it's good. Alright? Your hairline has got to be like this. Okay? That's your hairline. You don't want the V's doing this. Sideways. No, bad. You want them doing this. Do you get it now? Do you get it? That is better than this. Now, have a look at this. These ones at the front are good. That way, okay? These ones over here don't appear to be going that way. They appear to be going more that way. But until the hair dries, like I've told you, I can't really separate the hairs without the whole thing becoming very messy. But while the hair is wet, and knowing that I'm not going to reapply it, I'm now going to, well, first of all, get the shit out of my face and read back through the instructions I've written. Okay. So there's no problem with having a thick, full head of hair with the poly, that's for sure. And that pre-gluing does stick and it does work, but you've got to get it right on the first go. Because I've still got a bit of gluey residue here on my forehead, which is the whole reason for pre-gluing, so you don't have to get that mess. And I still got the mess. Okay. Okay, so what are we up to? Damn, that thing's really become sore, hasn't it? I had that sprayed on a few days ago to get rid of this skin tag mold. Okay, avoid getting glue in any hairs. Let this dry for 15 minutes, pre-glue it. Spray alcohol onto the glue and put the hairpiece onto your scalp. The alcohol has given you 30 seconds to slide the hairpiece into its final resting place. If it begins to dry in the wrong place, take it off quickly before it dries. You might need to clean your scalp again and apply more glue to the hairpiece if this happens. Let's hope the hairpiece is the right size. Yeah, I guess it is. It's pretty good. I hope it is. Haven't seen the back yet. If it's the right size and in the right position, you are lucky. Right position. Doesn't seem right. Seems wrong actually. Maybe I just need to cut some more out of here. We'll see. It seems more of a problem in terms of being too far down than too far up, right? But that V-loop wall is causing me issues. That's like a thick black line. I might as well have drawn that with texture. And I did wash the texture off. Marker for the Americans. Let's hope the hairpiece is the right size. If it is the right size and in the right position, you're lucky and you can proceed to cut out more hairpieces, pre-glue them and put them in airtight containers ready for next time in 2 to 3 weeks. Don't forget, this was written by somebody who didn't really know what he was talking about, but I still think it might work. Like if I pre-glued those other hairpieces and put them in an airtight container, rather than sticking them down onto something, because the poly doesn't want to hang onto the glue that much until it's settled in for a while. I think airtight container might do the job. 13, so long as there's no air, not too much air already in that container. But I don't think if you press it down against something, I think the airtight container idea would probably work. 13, give yourself a haircut, then style your hair the way you want. 0.03mm ultra thin skin units will generally stretch or tear if you remove them, so you just throw them out when it's time to reshave, clean your scalp and put on a new one after 2 to 3 weeks. So the last step, number 13, is to cut the hair. This will give me greater access as well. I really want that window open for fresh air, but I don't want those people to see in. It's a shame. When you first move to a new house, you don't care about the privacy as much. You just think about, oh, this beautiful view and all sort of stuff, and then you start noticing the people who might be able to look into your window and stuff, and then it fucks it up a bit. Okay. Filling for folds. Haven't really found any. It's good. I can see some sign of plastic back here, can you? White plastic. Oh, but I pressed down and it went away. So I just don't, ooh, there's a lump here, that's bad. So you gotta watch out for curling. If it's curled, it won't be able to be pressed back down. That lump could have been from the glue that was stuck in my natural hair before, from when I missed. Because it appears that if I press down from the angle on it, I have no real good perspective of the top of my own head. Do you know that, right? If you can see that, you know I can't possibly see that, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is spray here, water. I'm going to cut my hair. This is how you do it. If this is where you're up to in your hairline, we're going to do layers of different lengths. Beginning at the natural hair length, which I think we said earlier was about 1 1/4 inches, this hair. That does not seem like medium light density. It seems like medium density at least. That's what it seems like. How do I go here on these edges? Feels like I've missed a bit. Like it's put a space in there, that would be could end up being a disaster. I can't really tell. I have very little visibility when I look at the top of my own head without an angled hand mirror. But I'm not following that rule about the hand mirror or having an elaborate setup. I should have followed my own advice. With lace, I make allowances for the weight the hair needs to be controllable. With V-loops, I'm not really sure exactly how long it has to be before it obeys. With lace, I find it needs to really be 1.5 inches because the knots really force it into a particular direction. V-loops seem like they're attached a little bit more loosely and can therefore be persuaded to be more directional, hopefully. You can be part of layer 2. Okay, so we're going to do the second layer there. If your hair is this particular length, or coming down towards the front. So this will be a little bit longer than that last row. And the measurement tool I'm using is my memory of how long it felt like I was cutting it before. I'm just going a little bit longer because I'm going to go for about a 3-inch fringe. I'm not going to keep saying the word bangs for you Americans, you just have to learn the word fringe. Anyway, you've got different words in every state. Okay. The third layer now. Brush it to the side so you can collect it. We're getting to a point now where I probably have to take the curvature of the head and this outside parts into consideration. I'm just going to make this last layer a full layer on its own. Sorry, I was just thinking about the price of cars. They've really come down in price and it's not good for business. Good for you though. A very nice BMW SUV, $5,000. 2005 model. Is that too old? Pretty bloody good. Any gigantic hairs sticking out? This hair looks really dark on its way, doesn't it? Like, it feels really manageable, like lace doesn't. Like, it just wants to drop down flat, which is awesome. It doesn't want to go, I'm dead. Lace does that. This feels a lot more manageable, but that hairline, oh my god, that's sickening. You can't even just pluck away at it. It's there to stay. There's nothing you can do. I can try to cut back and make it higher up the forehead, but it's still going to be a wall of hair no matter what I do to it. That's the problem. There's no manipulating, Polly. You can't edit what you've got. So there's no freaking way that I can achieve a brush back look if Polly is always going to be like this at the front. Let's see what happens if I, well, I just showed you, you know, brushing it back. Now I can always add more glue around that lip there that you just saw. Because, you know, I lost a lot when I failed the first attempt. But I don't think I can just lift this whole thing up and redo it if these bits have gaps in them. And this lighting isn't the best. So this is Polly with a haircut, but not with the haircut. It's brushed or styled back or sideways, both of which require visibility of the scalp or the front hairline. If you can't show your front hairline, then your hairpiece has failed. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about here. The straight lines do not persist. They are sideways V's here. They must make a star from the center, and it just goes out in every direction. So that's why some look like the front when you've cut it from there, but then when you go around these edges and it's near the center, you've started getting them going sideways like that. It's really hard to gauge the direction, but no, it's not hard. You can actually quite easily see. Can you see what I can see? They're going shunk that direction. Here they're going shunk that direction. And here they're going shunk that direction. So the arsehole of the hairpiece must have been right here. The arsehole of the hairpiece is right here. So I can't use the center. These are the other two I cut. Okay, so this line's are going straight down. Can you see that? And from this point, they're going sideways. There's no rule to it. The women who were knitting just went, oh, what happened then? And then they probably twisted the thing around and just started knitting in another direction. Like in pockets of grids. That way, then that way, then that way, then that way. They don't care. They don't understand what's going on in their own company. So that's all straight up and down. Can you see what's going on here? I cannot show you up close. I'm sorry. Wow. That has just changed directions on the spot. That's because a single drop of Ultra Hold fell on the white board earlier. Could fuck up that eraser and everything. So this is how the smart-ass bastards at Lord Hair have manufactured these poly hair systems, right? Got the V-lips running this way. Why do they sell this bottle of stuff that makes things wet if there's no way to draw on it straight away afterwards? It barely cleans. Brand new. You know what that means, don't you? V's from above. Then they've gone. See what I'm saying? So if that's my hairline, that's my nose. And then my balls and cock. Then this hairline here is the way I cut it because I expected all of them to be running that way. But then these ones here started going sideways. So that instead of having a hairline like this, I've got a hairline like this. Resulting in this fucking wall of, I mean, this isn't just a wall of hair, this is a barricade of hair. That is an absolute, the fakest looking hairpiece I've ever seen in my whole life. Looking hair. Like, do not go out in public in that unless it's to a Halloween party. But people don't expect you to be wearing a real, they expect a Herman Munster hair. It's completely unusable. They've changed directions randomly in the construction of the hairpiece. The V-lips were already a problem and now they've just, they were unaware it was a problem, and then they've just gone. I don't know how Lord Hair or any other hair company can expect to continue making money out of this industry if they keep doing shit like this. This is so fucking stupid. I would fire everybody who worked in my company if this ever happened and the customer actually received it after they'd paid for it. Who was responsible for this? The customer actually saw that you shat on the food and then the shit was still sitting on the meal as you handed it to them. Did you enjoy? Who shat on the customer's meal? Because we've called the police and they're on their way. Who was it? So I would expect people who made this hairpiece to not only be fired, but also to be sued. Because you're waiting for it, it arrives, you put it on your head, you've got no option, right? You spend all this time doing it, you're exhausted by the end of all this whole procedure. And now you're fucked. You've sent me something that doesn't work. Now this is Lord Hair. Okay. Do I need to go back into talking about what Lord Hair has been doing with these folds back here? You know that when you stretch that, you put on your head, that bit rips apart and now there's a bald part dabble that size. Why the fuck did you do that, Lord Hair? Do I need to show you how many of these hair pieces have completely unbleached knots? I mean, I thought I was starting an ant colony. I looked down at this stuff and it's brutal. It is absolutely sickening. Your quality control has become unbelievably horrendous. Now I've stuck with you because of your 3-day shipping speeds, but if this is the quality you're providing, I cannot continue. And this has got to be the last straw. Like, you've changed directions on V-loops. You don't bleach the V's where they should be bleached. Bleach them all there. Bleach all the hairs there. Obviously. Then, the hair color. Whatever method you're using to V-loop, change it. Just change it now. Just stop everyone from working. Like, you see this video, if you're watching this video and your people are working, say stop everything. Just walk out there right now. Oh wait. Walk out there right now and tell everyone to just stop. So the next person to let a hairpiece off the premises with unbleached knots or unbleached V's or different direction V's, they are absolutely fired. Okay? That cannot happen. You had years to refine your craft, to make it better, and now you're just cutting corners. This sickens me to my soul to see this shit. I was supposed to go and see a girl tonight. Now I'm going to cancel it because of you. Can you imagine all the other people whose lives are getting fucked up this week or this month or for the next series of months because of what, 3 of your fucking hair pieces at a time or 6? What are you going to do about it? It's Saturday night. You're going to make me wait until Monday morning, hiding my head in shame, and then walk down with all of this in my backpack to the post office and try to find the appropriate bag I could use that might get its way through customs, send it all to you, pre-chopped because I trusted that you'd done the right thing by me this time. I've already tried to re-bleach them. I couldn't do it. Didn't work. And then when I send them back to you by mail, Australian Air prices, Express, what's that, $50? We don't have the Chinese subsidized shipping deal that you guys have, where you have to pay 50 cents for a massive parcel. It's expensive for us to send stuff. How long is it going to wait to get to you? What do we do then? Correspond by email? We're going to sift through thousands of emails until I say, okay, Lord Hair sent me something. And then you say, we'll get on that right away. And you've got to look through all the hairpieces you've got, see if you've got the one that matches what I wanted. Oh, but here it is. The bleaches, the knots haven't been bleached. Now you've got to wait for you to bleach them and then mail that back to me. So how long is that so far? A week and a half already? Right, customs. What is this? Some dead animal in a basket. They usually let it through though, so I'm okay with that. 3 days is usually how long it takes to get here, so I'm happy with that. But I'm gonna have to start using my used hair pieces, because I'm gonna send these all back to you. You got the size, right? See the sort of size that I've cut. You don't have to cut them out again for me, right? Just add them up. See how many hair pieces they equal. Okay. I'll send you back the brand new poly I've got in there as well. And you just give me back an equal amount of hair that doesn't have unbleached knots, and it doesn't have folds in the lace, and it doesn't have unbleached V-loops that are going off in every single direction, creating a barricade of zombie hair that nobody would want in this lifetime. Not a chance in hell. I need you to do the right thing. I need all hair companies to do the right thing, because this is rubbish. And so is this. I've done everything right. Spent hours writing these rules out. Okay, spent hours filming it. I need a company I can trust. And it's just not you anymore. What have you done? You lost me. You're gonna have to replace this stuff. Prove yourself to me. And I'll keep my ear open to any complaints from anybody else who will definitely come running to me and publishing their findings immediately, the moment you do the wrong thing again. So everyone can forget this entire lesson, because I was wrong. I'm sorry to waste hours of your time, but skip steps 1 to 13 because it won't work. I'd given up. I thought there's nothing to do to make this hairline, this wall of hair, any better or improve it or fix it. But I think the best way to get around the problem is to just go around the front hairline and cut away the little chunks here and there. So for example, if you just lift the flap up a little bit and then just cut it away, then you get more of a staggered kind of look, and it's not so rounded, and so it fades in better. And I've done that all along the front here, and the hairline's still basically close to where it wants to be as a natural kind of location. It's staggered, but it's kind of more realistic than that wall of hair that was there a minute ago. So that absolutely straight edge curve is less of a straight edge curve now, and so I think it's safer. So I'll just take this bit here, which I just lifted before, to try to repair a bit, and I'll just slice through those hairs. Try not to get the hairs, of course. Try to get the plastic, and it just neatly falls away, and so there's less of a wall there. And of course there's a lot less glue, apart from the time when I messed up earlier, and some of the glue that was just coming off the hairpiece. not mixed with alcohol spray and stuff. That'll be a lot easier to pluck away later on. So cleanup is a lot easier. And given that it's such a very low profile, the advantages of poly can now be felt. There's no lip here, and my hands will stick there and make the glue dirty and so on. But it's a lot flatter to the scalp than lace. So in general, despite all that bullshit with the manufacturing process, staggered and all that, it just might work. Is that a believable front hairline to you? Given that this is the way things are, I might go and retrieve that hairpiece that I threw in the garbage, because there might be a way around it just by cutting it in a more of a haphazard way, but not jagged so much, more stepped. The other thing you can do to make the hairline transition less prominently into the forehead is have darker skin, and there is a trick. Can hairbrush in a can. Now this will make people treat you better, even if you're bald, but your pillows will become brown. I swear to God, tanned people are treated a lot better than pale people. Usually. There's an olive zone, I think. But the truth is, I get treated better. This is not I feel more confident because I've got spray on my face. I'm feeling self-conscious a lot of the time. Sometimes I'm feeling confident, sometimes I'm feeling angry at a shopkeeper. But I get treated better when I'm angry, I get treated better when I'm happy, when I'm confident, when I lack confidence. Tan clearly gets me treated better. Now people keep on thinking that it's all about attracting women. It's not. The way shopkeepers treat you as well matters. The way people, when they're introduced to you and they care about what you say and they listen to you talk, it matters. So, and the other cool thing about this, I think, might be, you know how lace would probably, if I sprayed this onto lace, the lace would be darkened, right? And then you'd see a grid pattern. But with poly, there's potential that it would simply wash off. Therefore I can just spray it straight into my hairline, and after my next shower, any staining that happens in here and so on might simply just wash away. Whereas this will stain my skin for 4 or 5 days. And the great thing about that stuff is you look dark the moment you put it on. I'll show you in a second. I'm just getting the glue off so that there's no chance that it'll stick to it. Okay, so if you don't tug on the hairs, then it looks to me like poly is definitely really low profile. Like, you can style it a lot better. And I'm not seeing that terrible effect that I saw earlier. So I want poly to be the one, I really do. And with that staggering thing that I just did, I think it potentially could be. So what I'm going to do first of all, given that I don't want to get my face wet while this is, it'll just drip down my eye and stuff, I'm going to just quickly style my hair using, well, I think this hair is so manageable compared to poly. The V-lips move where I push it so much more easily than lace, I would say. So I'm pretty confident that I can put in any hair product and it will just work. I mean, look, this is quite, this might as well be water, okay? It's leave-in conditioner. In fact, the most unrealistic part of that front hairline is the part where it is flowing directly backwards. So I might even chop a bit out of that. These bits at the front here, you see that part right there? That's where the poly has been actually shaved, almost shaved off, because I cut the scissors too close to the hairs and cut them off extremely short. It might be a bit of a trick to cut 1 millimeter or so into it, because that's happened over here as well. That's probably why this is working better. See how there's a 1 millimeter where I fucked it up? I didn't see it up close before, but that's giving it the buffer it needs to hide that stuff back a bit. I'm going to do a little daring trick here. I'm going to just try to chop off this little bit at the front here. And press the skin back down. It's hard to tell. I might have to run a bit of bleach all along the front there. In fact, that probably would have solved it. If only bleach were just reusable straight away. I wish there was a type of bleach that was like that I knew about. I use the hair dye peroxide that's supposed to make your hair really light blonde. That's the stuff I use. I think that effect doesn't work as well when the hair's facing that way, only when these are sideways. So don't follow my instructions exactly. This is my second attempt with poly, okay? Now what I'm going to do, just get my hair out of the way. I'll add some muck so I can give it some direction and stuff. I've got to get my back shaved or waxed or something. This hair behaves in a very natural way. And basically goes in the direction you push it. A lot better than lace does. And a lot better than my natural hair actually does, actually. My natural hair was like a spring. It just bounced right back to where it started from. Obviously that isn't the perfect hairline, especially here. I think I've messed up in those spots back up here. But in lace, if that was the direction of lace, it wouldn't have mattered so much. You just stretch it. Probably requires accuracy, like I said. Okay, so with muck in the hair, I should be able to style it better. It should stay more. If it wasn't so wet. I'll do a classic straight head brush. Okay, anyway, it's out of the way at the moment, so I'll show you the spray in the can, right? Don't get it on your eyebrows, but you can blend it down here. And there's no point in spraying with your beard because it'll fuck it up a bit. The light spray is better. And people will see you as looking more healthy. You also don't really want it on your ears. So that first way that I showed you, trying to do it in close, no, you're supposed to do it back here and just make yourself part of the mist. It's really good. It'll be brown after you've had a shower as well. And my expectation is that that poly will not absorb it. It will be washed off. So I'm fairly happy with that discovery that if you cut back a millimeter in, and you could probably do it with that beard trim that cost $75 that I put in the first quote, you probably just go really, really fine. So that it's snapped off mostly, but this actually has a buzz of hair. We'll play with that more in the future. Also, make sure you don't touch your face after you've washed your hands using the hairspray, the fake tan, spray tan. Okay. How does that look? I can't tell what's happening up here, as you know. So I'm washing the spray tan off my hands, washing the last bits of glue residue off my hands. The tan's still on there, so you have to use soap, right? Lather up. Because that stuff will make your fingertips brown for a week. Well, 5 days. But whenever you want more of a tan, you just spray more on. Right. And the less you spray, the less tan it is. The closer up you spray, the darker it will be. So just spray from a distance, okay? And as you can see, I just sprayed openly in a room with white tiled walls, and it must have just landed a bit in my clothes, a little bit on the floor, and microscopic amounts throughout the atmosphere, and I've inhaled a bunch of it, but yeah, it didn't get all over the place. So I've used over the years I've used quite a lot of different spray tans, or even wipe-on tans. And this is probably one of the best I've ever seen. Tan airbrush in a can, Model Co. Yeah, I like that one. If you do your neck and stuff like that, it makes you look bigger and more manly, I think. Girls look better pale, probably, because it's more dainty. Men look better like they've been working in the fucking chopping timber in the yard if they've got tans. Lumberjack look.